So it is a potential open meeting violation. And so the last one in has to be the first one out.
That's not true. That's not. They can attend.
No, they don't
I
have it
would
posted?
decide.
Is it posted? So you have it posted on the board for the HBC?
It
They're
doesn't
not
need to
discussing any
be.
business here.
No, I understand that. Chad,
Doesn't
let
make
me,
any difference if there's 4 members present.
That is not what the law
The
says.
law
Your
says,
attorney just
okay,
sent out.
okay,
an
wait
email.
a minute,
I'm
wait a minute,
just saying that I
Elizabeth,
You
wait,
guys decide.
just
I'm
stop,
just
go ahead.
saying that I
Chad,
disagree.
Chad, go ahead.
if there's 4 members present, and it's not scheduled as a special meeting, and the quorum would be 4 members, then one has to leave to avoid a quorum.
Okay,
So they can't go
I
to church
disagree.
together? I mean, in the
That
same,
social is different, but this is a business, this is a meeting of the government. It's different. Social is an exemption, you're correct,
right.
but this is not social. This is a business issue.
They can attend, they're not involved in discussing anything.
Elizabeth, our city attorney is recommending that we have a quorum. Me personally, don't really care who's here, it's not a problem, but it's a quorum, because you have a 7-member commission, you have 4 people here, that is an open meeting violation. So we have to address that before we move into the meeting.
It's potential over, yes.
Potential, exactly, thank you.
Potential.
Okay, I would just
Not
like
a
to.
definite
Hey,
potential.
stop, stop.
There's a difference.
See, stop. So Chad, what's your
My
recommendation?
recommendation is that unfortunately, one of the members should leave to avoid a potential violation of open meeting law.
I would like to read from Patrick Kelly's letter on February 3rd. He says, please carefully read page 3, in which Patrick Kelly points out, gatherings of less than a quorum of a public body are not subject to the law. A meeting is held when the group is capable of exercising decision-making powers. They are not capable of making decision-making
So
powers.
Chad,
The
you're
operative
city
term-
attorney, would you explain it as you need
Yes,
to?
Yes.
this is your partner.
I understand that, but the operative term in that letter was less than a quorum.
Right.
Yeah.
There is a
So-
quorum here,
We do
unfortunately.
have a quorum, so I'm going to respectfully ask, I know it sounds like no big deal, but I believe that there could be fines, there could be problems, I don't want anybody to get into any trouble. And so you have to have one member of the HPC, please remove yourself so we can move forward.
Can I
with the
ask
meeting.
how they are capable of exercising decision-making powers right
It's a
now?
quorum, it's a
It's a
quorum.
possibility they could meet,
I'm
Correct.
going to step outside, but I'm going to be right outside the hallway.
and that's fine. You
Perfect.
can listen. That's
Thank you,
completely
Jerry.
okay.
Okay, so with that, I'm now going to call the meeting to order. It is Monday, February 28, 2022. It's about 7:04 PM, and we will start with our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, for roll call, we have everybody here except for our Vice Mayor, Ross Rivard. He is on vacation. Now, the agenda is before us this evening. Council, do we have any changes to our agenda? Anything we need to add?
I do have one change. Can
Go
we
ahead.
do new business at this point?
Okay,
Let's see, what I do have a change, would like to request that, item number 3 be removed, that, Councilman Ransom to allow volunteers to work with clerk treasurer on clerical office work tasks.
okay,
I would ask that that be removed.
okay, we'll remove that and it can be added at a future date.
Sure, and then I'd like to ask that it be replaced, with a request that, we consider hiring a permanent part-time deputy clerk.
Okay, so we'll add that under item number 13, under new business. We're gonna list that as hiring a part-time deputy clerk.
Part-time permanent deputy clerk.
Got it, okay. That has been added. Anything else? And with that, do I have a motion to approve our amended agenda?
I would have to ask one more thing.
Well, wait, we're not into, I see you got a highlighted area, I'm just approving the agenda, okay? So do I have a motion to approve? So moved by Mary, do I have a second?
Second.
By Larry. Those in favor?
Right.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Now, the consent agenda. Is there anything that needs to be added to consent agenda? Anything needs to be changed, altered, removed? Comments?
I'd like to request that the approval of minutes from previous meetings be removed from consent agenda. And this is because neither I nor Ross Rivard, personnel liaisons, have had a chance to fully review the meetings, the minutes, and as compared to the tapes. So we'll get that done. It's just, it's taken, my regular job has taken a lot of time away from things like approval of the minutes. And so if we could please remove them
Okay.
and for review and add them back once they've been reviewed.
Okay. Do you have a rough idea when they'll be brought back?
I would hope to have it by next meeting.
By March meeting. Okay. Any other changes to the agenda?
I noticed, Councilmember Giuliani mentioned that he was a personnel liaison,
Mhm.
and I'm wondering what that has to do with the minutes, why that's relevant.
Well, the minutes are written by a staff member, and
Oh.
as personnel liaisons, it's our job to review the minutes.
Okay, so it's a critique thing.
Yeah. Anybody can remove the minutes. Anybody.
So I could do it as well.
You could remove them as well.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Right, right.
Okay.
I have a comment too, as
Go ahead.
well, that I'd like to make.
Sure.
On, this is regarding the staff reports. I did have a call from a resident that I'm sorry, Public Works in specific. The light on First Street, there's a light, traffic light on First Street that is eastward, it points toward eastward bound traffic.
Okay.
So it actually blinds people when they're coming down.
Okay.
It's very high when they're heading west.
Got it.
It could cause an accident.
Okay.
And then I noticed on the January Public Works report that the Public Works Superintendent states that the batteries were replaced in the surveillance system in January. And I would like to know the size of the batteries, and I also would like to know how many batteries are replaced, and if there's a cost to that, or if it's something we have in stock.
Okay. All right. So, anything else for the consent agenda? Then, based on that discussion, the consent agenda for this evening is the staff reports, the commission and board reports, our correspondence, our approval of claims and payroll, the date for the Board of Appeals and Equalization meeting, the annual grant application for the fire department, invoice for Evergreen Recycling, invoice for Alex Air Apparatus, and the request for bingo from the Lions. So with that, do I have a motion to approve our amended consent agenda? Moved by Mary, second by Ross. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Except the wrong.
Yeah, that's okay. Now, we're gonna move.
Who was the second by?
Larry. Motion by Mary, second by Larry. Okay, so we're gonna move into public forum. And I have several of them this evening. Let's make sure that we try to keep it to, that 3 to 5 minute window as best you can. We tend to go over it, and that's fine. I just want to be respectful of those who are here this evening from other areas. So the first one that I have is from Kevin Schuman. You actually have two. So I would like to ask that you go ahead and talk about either one, the matter of great concern or the request for encouragement to the council and myself. So Kevin, welcome.
Yes. I wanted to start with a request to the council, and I also requested that the two items are very different, and so I would like them separated, and I'll
Sure.
come back for the second one.
Okay, so which one are you gonna talk about now? How about if you talk about the first, you gotta take a break between the two?
Yes.
Okay, fine. So which one are you covering first?
I'm talking about request to the city council and the mayor.
Got it.
So what I'd like to do tonight is before the last council meeting, I sent an email to each of the council members and to the mayor, covering some areas of concern that I had and making requests. And in that email, I also shared with them that I would be also sharing this email that I sent to them with you at the open forum, and so that's what I'm doing.
Mhm.
I have spent considerable time in prayer in preparing my heart and words for the comments that I feel compelled to make tonight. I want to emphasize that these are my personal feelings and disappointments, frustrations, and encouragement to you, the mayor and the city council members, to take action to move our city forward in a positive, healthy direction, to bring resolution to the long-standing issues plaguing our city, the council, and the workplace environment. These issues simply must be addressed and cannot be swept under the rug in an attempt to move on without facing them. I mentioned encouragement because that is the spirit and the intent of my challenge to you. You will see the word courage within the word encouragement. What I am asking of you will require courage and a stepping out of your comfort zone. For the sake of our community, please leap out of your comfort zone and take positive actions of reconciliation. At the last city council meeting in January, you received the report of Investigator Soldo. She gave several suggestions for moving forward. She encouraged you to see the complaint and the investigation as the beginning of a restart, strongly emphasizing that the council has got to deal with the division or it will tear you apart. You have to find a way to unify or at least work together. If you don't, it will result in disaster for you personally and for our city. That is why this is a call to take action with courage, truth, integrity, and personal accountability for your mistakes and failures. I am indignant and repulsed that after months of inaction, delays, and waiting for the investigation results, now having received that report, I can see no visible indications that anything has been done in the last month to begin the process of reconciliation and moving forward. I see nothing on the agenda indicating any plans to address the issue in a positive manner. I am requesting that each of you give careful and I would recommend prayerful consideration to the steps you would suggest as a beginning point of addressing the grievances and issues so that we can begin the process of healing from deep wounds to trust and civility that have been inflicted. Will you make a pledge to work together for the good of our community? And will you begin today? The status quo of doing things the way they have been done is not acceptable and is not an option. I requested that the discussion of plans to move forward be placed on the agenda for the meeting on Monday, February 14th, 2 weeks ago, and so now transferred to tonight's meeting. I am requesting that each of you personally share your beginning ideas as a starting point. I would recommend you share those ideas beginning with the mayor and then according to seniority ranking on the council. After each of you have shared your starting point ideas, I would then like to hear your discussion among each other to evaluate the merits of each idea, to use them as a springboard to other ideas, and to meld them together into a strengthened and strategic approach to begin to move forward together. It will take humility, courage, honest ownership of your past mistakes, cooperation, and perseverance. I would remind you that questioning is not being critical. Questioning gives the opportunity for clarification and clearer communication. This challenging new beginning will require that you fulfill your pledge to the Code of Conduct and Ethics, which you have all signed, and for you to be and become the council you were elected to be for your personal good and the good of our community. As I said, I am sending this as an email attachment to each of our city council members, Ross, Larry, Mary, and Troy, and to Mayor Mike. I realized at the time I sent it on Sunday, 2 weeks ago, was short time till Monday's turnaround. It's been an additional 2 weeks now. I am disappointed that I don't see it on the agenda for tonight. I realize that the time was short, but I am requesting the start of the conversation which simply cannot be delayed another month. As I said, I plan to read a copy of this at the open forum. It is with high hopes of your positive response and my prayers for each of us that the journey towards true resolving of these issues at hand begin today. Take courage. It really does depend on you. and I conclude with a personal message of thanks and challenge to each of us. Mayor Mike, over 18 years, thank you for your service to our community. Arrogance and pride are a dangerous trap for many in leadership. Many have fallen victim to it and have been humbled and acknowledged their wrongdoing and been restored to effective leadership. That is my prayer for you. We visited as you were campaigning for re-election last year. As we completed our visit, you leaned back and whispered in my ear, "There's been some negative complaining going on." You, sir, were the source of the only negative campaigning that I heard. Micah 6:8 reveals one path forward. He has showed you, O man, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you? To act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. Ross, though he's not here, I will try to relay this message to him as well. Over 30 years, what a faithful legacy of community service. Ross, you are kind and gentle. You hate conflict. You want everyone to get along. You are a peacemaker. All of those are admirable traits, but you cannot resolve conflict by ignoring that it exists. Be a man of courage, willing to face it head on, looking for a solution to the problems that are the source of conflict. Larry, over 16 years. Thank you for long years of dedicated service. I appreciate your dedicated work on the Park and Rec Committee. It was my privilege to work with you last fall on the beginning phases of establishing a peony garden at Cherry Hill Park. You cleared your schedule to be there on almost every day I worked there. You went over and above your responsibility as council liaison. My encouragement to you is to be true to the code of ethics. Number 3, conduct of members. Members shall refrain from abusive conduct, personal charges, or verbal attacks upon the character or motives of other members of council, boards, and commission. Larry, Troy, and Jerry are not the problem. They may be exposing the problem, but they are not the problem. Consider those areas where you might share the fault. Mary, over 10 years. Thank you for a decade of giving of your time. My challenge to you is also to uphold your oath to the code of ethics. Since your return to the city council, I have witnessed times when you have not treated others with respect and dignity at public meetings. Among other things, you have wagged your finger at us. You did not give advance notice of your absence from last city council meeting, which was canceled because of a lack of quorum. I don't know the hurts and frustrations you are carrying, but regardless of the actions of others, your actions have been beneath the dignity of your office and is not acceptable. You need to be the example. Troy, first year of service. Thank you for taking on the challenges of public service. You have jumped into the fray with both feet. You have asked hard questions. You have studied city procedures and codes. You come prepared and have tried to find the background affecting the decisions you are asked to make and have looked for paths moving forward. You have been disparaged for doing so. Thank you for working towards a more open and transparent council. You've been wounded and bruised for doing so. My challenge to you is don't let the hurts harden your heart, even though remaining open makes you vulnerable to continued attacks. Continue to reach out, to press forward, and be willing to make new attempts to work together if afforded the opportunity to do so. Denise, I also have a challenge for you. Thank you for your commitment to being here and to inform the public. You are the conveyor of information as to the happenings at the council meetings and giving a picture of the pulse of our community. There are times when your reporting has not been accurate. There are times that it has been misleading to what was the intent of what was said or done. There are times that it has given a slant that was not in the meeting. There are times when I and many others have been misquoted. We rely on your reporting to be accurate, truthful, fact-based, and without bias. Your words have great power and influence and must be written with integrity. Pastor Kevin, grateful to have called Taylor's Falls my home for 27 years. I also have a personal challenge for myself, and I would encourage each of you to think and write your own. Pastor Kevin, you are not without fault. You can be judgmental and opinionated and stubborn. Your ways are not always right. Like all of us, you are not perfect. A children's song that gives me great comfort and hope speaks of God's love and patience in his dealing with us. With childlike wonder, it states, "It took him just a week to make the sun and the moon, the earth and the stars and Jupiter and Mars. How loving and patient he must be, because he's still working on me." May we move forward together, knowing that there is work in and for each of us to do. Thank you for this opportunity to share my heart. I hope that you have heard words of truth and sincerity. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin. I've always appreciated your comments and your remarks. I do have one question for you, however. The question is, in your letter here, in your comments, it says, or at least work together, and if you don't, it will result in disaster for you personally. So my question is that a threat?
That is in no way a threat.
Thank you. That's all I need to know. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next one. This one is Deb Juliet-Hein. It says, city staff appreciation.
Yes.
It's all yours.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council, guests, City Clerk, Treasurer, and fellow citizens. At the outset, and in particular for the new folks in town, I want to be fully transparent and disclose that I have a close personal relationship with one of the council persons. For the record, Larry Juliet-Hein and I have been married for 43 years. As such, I typically try to stay out of council matters. Of course, I vote in all elections, but only attend meetings if it involves me personally, or if I have a very strong sense of something I want to share, like tonight. This is the 17th year, and for all the years that I've seen Larry serve my hometown, a place more sacred to me than any other, he's given much of himself preparing for and attending literally hundreds of meetings, serving on a variety of city committees and commissions, assisting with both the Lighting Festival and Lonigan Days, working the bingo hall for the Parks and Recreation Commission, helping to build the gazebo at Cherry Hill Park, picking up trash each spring, and of course, the big yellow chair. Well, you get the idea. And while I am witness to the vast amount of time and energy he gives to his adopted home, Larry doesn't share confidential council matters with me, and I'm 100% okay with that. Anyone who really knows Larry knows he is and always has been the very soul of discretion. I always say ethics are his middle name. I usually learn what's going on in TF the old-fashioned way, by reading the Chisago County Press, or even stopping down at Coffee Talk. All that being said, it's been difficult not to have become aware of the gossip and rumors that had besieged our lovely Valley hamlet for over the past year. But am I discouraged? Am I disheartened? No, and I'll tell you why. Because as altruistic as Larry is, so are the many usual suspects of our community. A wonderful place like this doesn't survive and flourish unless there are many individuals like y'all who volunteer, and then volunteer some more, and then volunteer some more. As far as I can tell, and for as long as Taylor's Falls has been around, and I believe the first post office, 1851, there have always been good folks who stepped forward and stepped up to serve its citizens. The city councilpersons and mayors, yes, but also you folks back here, the commission members, school board members, planners of events, celebrations and parades, stewards who oversee our renowned historical society, library, parks, the election workers and bingo workers alike. And I know I'm leaving other people out. These folks, believe it or not, are not in it for the money, glory, or power. They, you, and most of the residents in this remarkable community do it for good. They do it out of kindness and generosity. They do it because they, like Larry and me, love this town and one another. And they do it because, as the late Paul Wellstone said, we all do better when we all do better. Now I speak tonight not to be a cheerleader or a Pollyanna, but to remember and recognize why we're here in the first place. We're here to care for one another, to help those who need help, and also to celebrate our successes. I moved away from TF in 1973 for college, for marriage, for family and careers elsewhere. But all this farm girl ever wanted was to move back to the most beautiful place I've ever known. In 1996, I was fortunate enough to do just that. Some of us are lucky enough to be born here. Others to discover it later in life. I got to do both. Now, while I do love the river and the trees and the parks and the trails, what I really love about our town is the people. The people who smile and wave at you as you walk or bike or drive or boat by. The folks who ask after your family and show up at funerals and memorials just to give support. The good, decent individuals who bring hot dish or cookies to neighbors in need. What makes this community, our community, unique is something that the special investigator, Michelle, reminded me of a few weeks back in this very room. She said it's time to put aside the division and work together, regardless of which side you are on. I believe that with all my heart. I believe our council, those who serve now and those who will come next, will put aside personal differences, politics, ideology, and will work together for the betterment of Taylor's Falls, as they always have. We don't need to make Taylor's Falls great again. We just have to remember that it really always has been a great place to live. Our coming together tonight is an opportunity for us to show kindness, love, and respect by working together for the common welfare of the city. Now, I realize that people usually speak out. I realize that people usually speak out during this public forum to bring forth varied and sundry complaints. I get that. I know that's what our elected officials, y'all signed up for. Tonight, however, I just want to thank our city council and the city staff for all their hard work and dedication put forth in managing the affairs of Taylor's Falls. So thank you. I have no challenges or requests, just thank you for all you do.
Thank you, Deb, appreciate your time. Clearly, the 5-minute recommendation is out the window.
So, yeah, Mr. Mayor,
It's okay,
could I just add one thing?
go right ahead.
Thank you, Debbie, that was a beautiful thing you said about the city, but I did not write that part about me.
Exactly. Excellent, and the only reason I was attempting to stick to the 3 to 5 minutes is we have people here from Polk County, and I was trying to be respectful for them, their time, so, but it's okay, as long as they don't mind. Nope, they shook their heads, they're fine. So Diane Nelson, she has comments and questions on moving forward. Diane, I appreciate your time.
Well, I actually timed mine, it's a little over 3 minutes.
No problem, you can take as much as you need.
Okay. Well, I have a message, and I'm here on behalf of a group of concerned citizens. Some are here tonight, some are not. Tana Hagamaki is out of state, otherwise she would be here as well. It's a nonpartisan group. We are residents and taxpayers. We're your constituents, okay? We as concerned citizens strongly disagree with the outcome of the January 20, 2022 special meeting, which was called to hear the report by the city's investigator regarding allegations of a toxic workplace made by the city clerk treasurer. It appears that the city, operating under the direction of the mayor and with agreement by most of the council, has allowed a less than pleasant work environment, which has directly affected the complainant's ability to effectively perform her duties. After hearing that some council members feel pressure to fall in line and vote with the majority, we wonder how the complainant must feel working under such conditions as the only woman on the city staff. We believe the abuse of power and disrespect she has been experiencing has caused her undue stress and anxiety, and because of it, she's endured humiliating rumors about her mental health. First, this is a breach of privacy, and second, a cruel attempt to negatively influence the public's opinion of her. She takes pride in her role as city clerk treasurer and strives to do a good job for the city and its residents. Questioning her knowledge and ability to perform her job publicly and attacking her character have been demoralizing. She's a person of integrity and high morals, and as a whistleblower, she is paying the price for speaking out. To witness the two accused being let off without any action taken to resolve and remediate the toxic work environment is an insult to those of us who believe the allegations. The motion which passed to disallow religious discussions at City Hall was too little, too late. Any government worker should be aware of separation of church and state, and that proselytizing is not allowed in the workplace. Michelle Solo, the investigator, was referred to as the city investigator by the vice mayor. She was not referred to as an impartial, unbiased investigator because she was hired to defend the city. We believe that instead of remaining neutral and providing a fair and just investigation, Ms. Solo's report was favorably biased towards the two accused and riddled with inconsistencies. At a minimum, the two accused individuals and members of council should be required to attend training in the following areas, such as acceptable workplace discussions, what constitutes religious and gender discrimination, how to avoid creating a hostile work environment, and how to appropriately and effectively supervise employees. An annual review of this training should be required for all elected officials and current and new city employees. The League of Minnesota Cities, of which our city is a member, would be a great resource for training and professional development. In order for all city employees to feel safe from retaliation and be treated with respect and cooperation on the job, the council needs to act immediately to improve the workplace environment at City Hall. The council, as employer, should be very concerned about this situation and should enact written procedures to resolve it. We believe an investigation could have been avoided if appropriate personnel guidelines had been been followed and proper training had been provided to those who responsible for supervising city staff. It has come at a cost, not only to the taxpayers, but more seriously, to the complainant's reputation and well-being. We are concerned with the current leadership and the direction in which the city of Taylor Falls is going. We elected these individuals to serve as stewards on our behalf, and we implore them to open their eyes and see what we are seeing as residents and taxpayers of this great city. Signed, Concerned Citizens of Taylor Falls.
Thank you, we appreciate your comments. Okay, the next one is Steve Gall. And I'm not sure if Steve is gonna be talking or if he's raising his hand.
All I wanna know is, where the hell is my water bill? I haven't had one since September. My neighbors all around me get water bills, I don't get it. I wanna know where it is, I'm tired of coming up and paying down money, but not knowing what I'm paying for.
Okay, Steve, I tell you what, I'll have personnel liaisons look into it. If it turns out it's a public works issue, I'll have Mary and myself look into that, but I understand. Congratulations, you're less than the 5 minutes, so thank you, sir. Appreciate your comment.
Believe me, I've been there before, I know what it takes to get it, I know what you mean.
Thank you, sir. Okay, the next one, Sandra Berg, she's got some questions and comments. Welcome, Sandra.
Thank you. Okay, you already said my name, so I don't have to do that.
Not a problem.
I just want to tell you though that tonight I am representing myself. I think that's very important for you to know because I don't claim to speak for any group. Just me. Maybe Brian. Maybe Brian. Since last summer, this community has been put through a series of ups and downs that, as far as I know, are unprecedented in this small community. Almost 2 months ago, we listened to a report from an investigator who made some accusations of substantiated misconduct in City Hall. The council then voted that no reprimands would be instituted. The city breathed a collective sigh of relief. It was over. Now on the agenda tonight, and by the way, 2 weeks ago as well, is duty to investigate alleged breach of data. When Ms. Soldo finished her report, she had some comments for this city council. These are her words. There is a need for strategic action on the part of this council. Now, this is not sustainable. You, the council, cannot stay with the status quo. No outcome is perfect. The council needs unity. There is a division that exists that will tear you apart if you don't figure out how to move forward. Not only will it tear the council apart, but it will hurt the whole community. You, the council, have to address the conflict and dysfunction in the city, or you will lose people. I suspect she meant lose support of the people. I don't think they're just gonna go away. She went on to say, you, the council, lack professional guidelines and job expectations. Soldo explained that our present city clerk came to the job without experience in the job, and because no one was available to train her, the transition was difficult. The zoning administrator at the time did not know the clerk's job, and after her hire, he was asked to resign. Soldo stated that this council needs some structure for her, the clerk, to be successful in her job. Give her, the clerk, the best opportunity here. Those were her words. Soldo found loopholes in the council's operation and dysfunction in its actions, once again, from her. She said that she included these in her report. I have yet to see the report, but that's what she said. At the end, she said, work toward a solution. Number 2 on the agenda tonight is not an act of moving forward. It's an act of retaliation. I'm saying revenge, pure and simple. Revenge is a dark and dangerous place to go. The city deserves better than this. Another investigation is worthless and will destroy an element of this city. Councilman Rivard shared a confidential communication with the mayor at a recent meeting and had to be told by Councilman Annenson that the confidential communication was clearly marked confidential and not meant for the mayor. We've had many data breaches and open meeting law investigations. Not investigations.
Violation.
Yes. Let's include them all. Let's investigate them all. Here's another example of misconduct. And it's very pertinent for tonight, I would say. You need to look no further than the September 15th, 2021 of the HPC, their minutes. Before that meeting, the mayor chaired the first meeting, and he made calls to individual members asking them to support his candidate for chairman. Correct, Mike?
No.
Yep, I talked to them. At the meeting, he called for a secret ballot. When his candidate lost, he took the written ballots and analyzed the handwriting to see who betrayed him. You did that, Mike, didn't you? Yeah, you know you did. Holding a secret ballot at a public meeting is another potential violation in the open meeting law. You want to correct me, Mr. Attorney?
I want to know more facts before I make a statement on that.
Not only the open meeting law, but Mayor, you violated number 15 in the Code of Ethics, which you signed. There was a time recently when the mayor was reminded that he had not obtained a resolution from the council before restructuring a loan for the downtown commercial property. The mayor's defense was, we make mistakes. And we do make mistakes. We all make mistakes. But Mike, you and I talked about this last summer. If you cannot provide the positive, forward-looking leadership that we need to lift this council and this city out of dysfunction, you need to resign. You need to resign for the sake of your health. I know your health is precarious, and these kinds of stresses can't be helpful to you. For the sake of your family. Your family needs you, Mike. They deserve a happy mayor, a happy father, a happy husband, a happy grandpa. And for the sake of the city, we need to get on with being what Debbie talked about. A beautiful, kind, loving city. But I sit here week after week, month after month, and nothing gets done. Let's talk about the Midco. That was due last June. Nothing's getting done, except all of this harassment, really. Stop. Stop now. I ask you for the sake of the city to just stop.
Thank you, Sandra. Appreciate your comments. The next one is Kevin Schuman. Are you ready again?
And I just have one additional concern and grievance to bring forward this evening, which is of great concern to me. It's concerning that motion that was passed at the last city council meeting in January 20th, 2022, which banned religious talk in City Hall. What began as an effort I appreciate and support to see that a very inappropriate conversation, which centered on religion and religious beliefs, and was directed by the mayor toward the city clerk treasurer, and all such future inappropriate conversations be limited and discouraged from happening in the workplace. I believe those well-intentioned concerns morphed unintentionally into a motion banning religion or religious talk from City Hall. I believe that was not the intent of the original motion, but that the intent of the original motion was to curtail and prevent such future inappropriate conversations. Though the current motion passed and was supported unanimously by the council, I contend that it has disastrous and unintentional consequences, which I would like remedied immediately. It was not the topic of the conversation that was inappropriate, but the unwelcome manner in which the conversation was forced upon someone and the disparaging remarks that were made. Many things and places within the Code of Ethics safeguard such conversations from taking place. Examples are number 3, the conduct of members states, members shall refrain from abusive conduct, personal charges or verbal attacks upon the character or motives of other members. Number 16, a positive workplace environment. Members shall recognize their role in dealing with city employees to in no way create the perception of inappropriate direction to staff. Number 17, the Code of Ethics is intended to be self-enforcing, most effective when members are thoroughly familiar with it and embrace its provisions. Number 18, the Taylors Falls Code of Ethics expresses standards of ethical conduct expected for members of the city council. It also states that the mayor has additional responsibilities to intervene when the actions of members appear to be in violation, which begs to ask the question, who is responsible to intervene if it's the actions of the mayor that seem to be in violation? As the code is now written, it would appear that that falls to the city council. As the next statement says, the city council may impose sanctions on members whose conduct does not comply with the city's ethical standards. But perhaps most compelling to avoid all such inappropriate and unwelcome conversations, regardless of the topic, is every bullet point in the member statement. Again, those are to recognize the worth of individual members and appreciate their individual talents, perspective, and contributions. To help create an atmosphere of respect and civility where individual members, city staff, and the public are free to express their ideas and work to their full potential. Conduct my personal and public affairs with honesty, integrity, fairness, and respect for others. Respect the dignity and privacy of individuals. To keep common good as my highest purpose. To avoid and discourage conduct which is divisive or harmful to the best interests of Taylors Falls. To treat all people with whom I come into contact in the way I wish to be treated, which is amazingly similar to the biblical mandate often called the Golden Rule. found in Luke 6:31, which simply states, "Do unto others as you would have them do unto you." It's also found in Matthew 7:12, adding, "So in everything, do to others what you would have them do for you." This sums up the law and the prophets. So though many may not recognize or associate that statement with religious talk, people of faith will easily recognize and be familiar with its source. So even the Taylor's Falls Code of Ethics, which all city council members, boards, and commission members must sign and adhere to, are religious principles of truth, integrity, kindness, respect, and civility, along with treating others the way I want to be treated. Another testament to the appropriateness of religious expression, even within City Hall, is that our founding fathers etched in stone religious expressions of faith and religion in virtually all government buildings and monuments in Washington, D.C., as do many state capitol buildings. In light of all this and the fact that the First Amendment of the Constitution of the United States of America contains the Establishment Clause, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech. I respectfully ask that last month's motion be rescinded, removed, made null and void due to its unintentional assault on the freedom of religion and freedom of speech rights guaranteed by the Constitution, and seeing that its intended purpose of ensuring kind and respectful treatment of all people, regardless of their religious or any other views, is repeatedly provided for already in the Code of Ethics, if it is enforced.
Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate your time and your comments. Councilman Tangen, you've got this code of conduct and code of ethics.
Can I sit right here?
Okay, go ahead, John.
I will keep this to 30 seconds, and it seems that everyone is well aware of the code of conduct and code of ethics, but it appears that everyone is not aware of the fact that each commission member must also sign and live by these. And unfortunately, we have seen a period of darkness overtake our fair city. And I think this would be easy to take care of if every commission member, every councilman, every employee adhere to the code of conduct. I would suggest or ask that the city make sure each commission member, commission head, and council member reread this and re-sign it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. And with that, that actually concludes all of our public forum. Thank you again for your comments. They're always well appreciated. I'm going to move on to the first item on the agenda. We have Polk County here, and council, you have a separate attachment. It says Public Safety Radio Site Edition. Just to give council a little bit of background, our zoning administrator, Steve Heff, and I were invited to Polk County, and they said, we would like to look at installing an antenna in Taylor's Falls on the water tower. And what kind of information do you need? And we said, bring as much information as you can to the council so we can discuss it and make a decision. So if you'd let me know your name for the record. I was expecting Deputy Burrows, Chief Deputy Burrows.
Chief Deputy Burrows is on vacation, so we are going to try to make him.
Very good. And so if you could just tell us your name, we know you're from Polk County, that'd be helpful. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm Sheriff Brent Walk, and this is our pleasure to be here tonight. And I would
Could somebody get the lights there on the side of the wall, please, so that...
Yeah, I would reiterate too, thank you for your service, because I sat on city council across the river in St. Croix Falls for a term, and I appreciate all of what you guys do. We live in this beautiful river valley, but it does pose some very challenging hurdles to communications. And I'm gonna have Jill, she's gonna go over a brief presentation. What we're asking for tonight is basically to work in a partnership and share some, a site that already exists here in your town.
Okay, I'm Jill Stoffel, I'm the communications manager for Polk County. So we're gonna hopefully take up just a few minutes of your time, give you an idea of what we're looking to do. We would like to add a radio tower site in your beautiful city to shoot some radio coverage back over into areas of Polk County which are problematic. We wanted to play an audio for you, just to give you an idea of what our officers, and this also will roll over into our fire and emergency services also. But this is a law enforcement contact to show you what they're dealing with in the city of St. Croix Falls when they can't get out on their radios. And I apologize if this isn't loud enough, I've got it full.
You hold the microphone toward it.
This guy is resisting at the tavern, county backup, his radio's working.
The guy is resisting at the tavern?
Right now, here.
Okay.
Yes, there's resistance, he needs backup.
Okay, get that backup on the way.
Okay.
Sorry, that was a low volume. That was from one of the establishments in downtown St. Croix Falls. One St. Croix Falls officer was there attempting to take a subject into custody and ended up in a physical confrontation with him. He was unable to get out on his radio to tell the Polk County Communications Center that he needed help, so that was the bartender calling on his behalf.
County 34-6. You're gonna make it to 33, we just received a call from someone in the tavern, 3146 radio is not working. Someone from the tavern is calling you 567, this is the 3146, 1078. What copy?
This guy is resisting at the tavern, county backup, his radio's working.
Sorry, I'm having a technical difficulty here. So those were the two examples that we wanted to. We've had multiple examples from our fire and police departments.
Resisting at the tavern, county backup.
Okay. So just to give you a little background, in 2005, Polk County invested almost $6,000 in a new radio infrastructure, $6 million in a new radio infrastructure. It was a drastic improvement over our existing system, and it still left some areas that still needed improvement or coverage. We operated like that for several years, and then when the FCC required that we narrow band our system, the problems became even more apparent. The coverage was reduced even more. One of the more severe dead spots is the St. Croix River Valley. The topography makes it more difficult to get down into the river valley, and then along Main Street of St. Croix Falls behind the big hill. We don't have a significant volume of calls in the river valley, but when we do, they happen to be very critical. Currently, we have very limited radio and pager coverage in the St. Croix River Valley. In the past, we've discussed adding an additional site